Hi, Jerry Nelson, Life Coach. Welcome to my videos on constructive anger, and this is video number 7, Successful Interacting, and developing new strategies for how you're going to approach the world. The idea here is to reduce the amount of anger that you have because you now have more successful strategies. I have done another video on fair fighting. You need to review that video to complete this lesson. The fair fighting area will also have a summary sheet so that you can review that in a written format, and it'll also have a suggested contract. In other words, when you're setting up to interact with someone and you set up a basis of fighting with them in a fair way, that you have an agreement to do that and you have the principles of how you expect to do that. Many of us in our history of anger with other people have never had fair fighting as a way to interact. We've always had I lose, he wins, or a process where it wasn't a fair fight, it wasn't a pre-designed system to fight, but it was something that just happened, it was out of control, nobody agreed on it, and it generates an incredible amount of extra anger just because the feeling of being out of control and chaos. So this idea for this successful interacting is to create new strategies. The strategies that I'm giving you here are certainly not a complete list at all. There are some ideas of where you can go to learn so that you can develop new strategies on your own. I have the fair fighting one that we talked about. I highly recommend for couples the 5 love languages. This will give you a background on how different people feel loved, that their love tanks are empty or they need love and they're not getting it from you as their mate and you don't know why. And this 5 love languages as a strategy gives not only ideas of how the language works, but at the end of each of these 5 love language books is a sorting tool which helps you to understand your own love language and the love language of your mate, and then that will indirectly lead to the idea of how you can change your language to each other so that you can really feel loved by the other person. Lastly, 12-step groups are all over the world. They are highly successful. There certainly are other groups. Mental health centers have a group process for different people. Churches have groups, Bible studies, all different kinds of things. But the 12-step groups are on a very sound, long-term basis. They have all kinds of written materials that are useful to people so that you can take and read some of the materials, develop strategies how you're going to work. You can get a sponsor. You can get a sponsor so that you can have someone to work with you, a companion type strategist, so that you can figure out what it is you're going to do in the situations that you're in. Only recommendation I put there is that you go to at least 6 meetings. I would suggest starting with Al-Anon. It doesn't leave any guilt. Nobody's saying you're drinking, nobody's saying you're using alcohol, drugs, anything else. You can just go to Al-Anon because we all more or less have individuals that are using. Al-Anon is for friends and family of those that are using drugs or alcohol, and so we can go there and not have any connection traced to any behaviors that we might be concerned about in ourselves. Now, if you're drinking and you want to deal with that, go to AA. If you're in NA, if you're using drugs, go to NA. If you're going to any of the other 12-step groups, if you feel they fit, by all means, go to them. But Al-Anon is for those of us like myself that started not at all understanding any of this group process. It was a great place for me to learn. And in Al-Anon, you learn things such as acceptance and different tools of how to interact with people. So I recommend that. And then the last item on the list of ways to try to develop new strategies for yourself is the book, The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. Highly, highly recommend this book. It's got some tremendous insight into how life is made to be successful. Now, the way to pass this lesson is to go to a 12-step meeting 6 times, if that fits for you, or if you have a need for a fair fighting arrangement with your mate, get that arrangement set up, go over the principles of it, come to an agreement on what principles you'll operate on, and set up a contract, so you'll have a fair fighting contract set up, and then have at least one time that you successfully do the fair fighting process. And if you're just a reader, if you want to just take a few chapters out of the success principles, any of these strategies, implementing any of these strategies will get you to pass through this lesson. With that, thank you. This is Jerry Nelson, Life Coach. Thank you for watching the video.